Greetings, Empresses. Welcome once again to Conversations with My Mother. This is my mother, Dr. Betty Burston.
And this is my daughter, Dr. Shatria Collier.
As you can see, ladies, I'm off work, so I had to let my hair down today. Okay, so today we are going to get into a new topic, and this topic is, can you handle the truth? Yeah. You remember that back in the day, they say, can you handle the truth? So that's what we're going to talk about today, this whole idea of lies, deception. What other words do we have?
Duplicity.
I said, I'm going to let her do that one. Okay. Yeah. So
dupliciousness.
Yes, dupliciousness. Exactly. So why is it that, now we talked early in our first webisode, we had this whole conversation about this whole idea of cheating, right? And in many cases, most women, when this conversation of lies comes up, it's often around that particular topic. But you today are going to tell us there's a lot of different reasons why men lie. But what about, let's just start with, why do people lie in general?
Yes, there's been some research that's been done on lying. And one of the studies that came out in 2003 showed, it did a study on lying. And it showed that the people in that particular study told 14 lies per week on average. There's another study that came out in 2004, and it looked at the whole issue of lying by gender. Now, I can't say that women lie, adult women lie more than men, because I haven't seen any research on it. But I can say that this particular study, which looked at teens and young adults, showed that teens lie more to their parents than young adults. But it also showed that teenage girls lie more than teenage boys. The other thing that's interesting is that the teenage girls were less tolerant of lies, even though they lie more. Do you think that women lie more than men today?
I don't know. I think it's a person thing. I feel like we have certain circumstances and certain things that we're dealing with that cause us to lie. So I don't know if it's one who does it more than the other.
But women make it a gender thing. Typically they think of lying men. You know that's true. More so than thinking of us as lying women. So as I said, I haven't seen any research. Some people would argue that women lie more effectively than men. I know the research shows so that women are more adept at detecting lies than are men.
It goes back to that intuition we talked about, right?
So I guess one of the things becomes, well, why is it that women are so intolerant of lying? Why do you think?
I don't think anyone. It's integrity, right? For me, integrity is a big thing. Honoring your word. And all of us as humans, we have to have integrity. So if somebody is lying, that's breaking their integrity.
But then because all of us lie. If we were to say we don't lie, we would be lying. So does that mean that none of us have integrity? Why is it that we judge men who lie more harshly than females who lie?
That's a good question. Well, I think what you said is true. I think none of us have integrity. We have to work at having integrity on a regular basis, but I don't think the average human really, wakes up every day and says, I'm in full integrity. Every day you have to, people are confronted with their level of integrity.
But then if we all are working on integrity, then why do we as women judge so harshly men who lie? If we are working on integrity, they're working on integrity.
Yes.
Why aren't we more understanding of that?
You tell me, right? Because again, I think that's one of my issues. I don't have tolerance for lying, regardless of whether it's male or female.
Okay.
So let's talk about, you tell me, why is it that women have such low tolerance for lying?
I know you asked me not to ask you this, but I have to ask you. When was the last time you told a lie?
Probably.
You can choose not to answer.
Okay, I plead the fifth.
The real question is, why do people lie? And people lie for different reasons. And we're not talking about pathological liars here. We're just talking about regular, everyday people. Some lie to gain power. Some lie for, because of save face. Yeah. Some lie to avoid conflict. And I think that one of the reasons when men lie to women, I think that that's one of the major reasons, is to avoid conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, what we as women do is ask men to bear witness against themselves. Now, you know, in a court of law, people aren't required to bear witness against themselves. But yet we do that, you know, to men. And one of the ways we do that is there are certain questions we shouldn't even ask men.
For example, what type of question?
Let's say that if you get married by this August, which is what I want you to do, and your husband is in recovery from his single life, so he comes home at 4 in the morning, and the next morning you say, honey, where were you last night? You shouldn't ask him that.
So then in that situation, what should one do?
You wait and see how often he does it. If he does it over 3 times, you have your answer there. If he doesn't, you forget about it. You could just, you know.
So what's the answer though? Because some, you know, I know what your answer is, but some women may not know that. So what's the answer? If he does it more than 3 times, what should we do?
Well, it depends upon what one's objective is and all of that. Before you marry, well, can we put that question on hold? Because I want to go back to this whole thing of you asked me, why do men lie?
Okay.
And those are some of the reasons that people lie. But one of the reasons men lie to women with whom they're in relationships is because most women cannot handle the truth. Secondly, okay, go ahead.
What about men? Because I notice, I feel like you're putting it all on, like, okay, here's the man, and if he comes, what about the woman? When does the man question, if as the research said, if women do lie more, then wouldn't it be the reverse?
The research, the only study I could find was the one with the teens, and it showed that teen boys lie less, and they are more tolerant of lies. The teen girls lied more, and they are less tolerant of lies. So when men, I don't think men are as obsessed about. They assume you're telling the truth unless something obviously is going to make it seem that you're not. Whereas women become detectives, searching pockets, looking for lies. Lie hunt is what they go on.
And you said something important too, that your intuition already tells you. Now, what happens to those women who don't listen to their intuition and they think they're going crazy? Like, oh, I'm just crazy. Or maybe the man might say you're crazy.
Okay, let's go back to this whole issue of women not being able to handle the truth. First of all, as I've said before, women have tremendous power. And part of that power is the ability for those of us who have not destroyed it or who have activated it. We know things. We don't have to ask. In statistics, there's something that's called a type 1 error and a type 2 error. And a type 1 error is when you do your analysis and you reject the truth. And a type 2 error is when you accept the lie. And it's considered more serious to reject the truth than it is to accept the lie. It's better to accept the lie than to accuse someone falsely who's actually telling the truth, which is something that I think women often get into, is making those type 1 errors because of being so obsessed with the whole issue of lying. But as I said, most times women can't handle the truth. So when they go to the man and they say, where were you last night? They know where he was. They are asking him to lie. And they are asking him to lie because they don't want to believe what they're feeling is actually true. And they are happy when he lies convincingly and convinces them that what they're feeling was not true. They get upset, though, when he's a poor liar and they can still see that, oh, he's lying to me, so what I'm feeling is probably true, and then we like to shift the blame to the man. But we also don't give men incentive to tell us the truth. Because we can't handle it, it means if he tells us the truth, we act all crazy. So why would you bear witness against yourself so that you could be judged and hung by the jury and put in jail in effect? Do you see? So if we as women want men to tell us the truth, one of the things we have to do, we have to reward him for telling us the truth by not getting angry. The reason we get so angry and so upset about if he were doing something is because we don't appreciate our power as a woman. We don't have to be afraid of what he does. We don't have to be obsessed with what he does.
But you know what, one thing I have to say though is over these conversations, I think you said repeatedly, he's going to go back to his polygamous ways. He might go back to his polygamous ways. You said when he may occasionally fall back into his polygamous ways.
I said if you have a husband who does, or a woman, a recent study by Essence magazine that was published in one of their magazines showed that women in their study cheated much more than the men did. Is it that we are looking in a mirror and looking at ourselves and afraid that what we see is what we're going to receive, that which we have sown, we're going to reap? So we need to think about all of this.
Okay, now I don't want us to leave today without you giving those women who have been the type who looked through the cell phone, looked up the text, looked up everything and drove themselves crazy even though they knew the truth. What advice can you give to them in terms of maintaining sanity, not driving yourself crazy with that obsession?
Because you just know, if you trust what you're feeling and also have people to triangulate, women, who are in touch with their powers, who can triangulate it so you don't make a type 1 error.
What do you mean because if someone might say, okay, girl, let me, be clear on what you mean by triangulating. Are they looking for evidence as well?
Well, no, they're not looking for evidence, but their feelings, just the feelings. You don't have to look for anything. You can know. And then the second thing is that if it's not something that's routine and regular, forgive him. Don't even say anything about it. But if the person ends up being a habitual liar, a pathological liar, a person with a P-fix addiction, like the book we talked about last week, then you may want to just replace him in your life with a new husband.
Now, I still have to throw this out there, and we're going to wrap up now. There is a woman, and I've talked about her several times, Kenya Stevens, and she says that Americans have it all wrong, and she is doing this whole progressive love movement where she has an open relationship with her husband. And we've talked about this, and we'll talk about this on the next webisode. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe humans need open relationships, so then you don't even have to deal with it. Everything is an open book.
But see, you're taking it back to the whole issue of polygamy. You cannot sustain polygamous relationships. I don't know if any woman out there has ever had 2 or 3 males at the same time. It'll drive you crazy.
But it can't.
Same thing is true for a man who has 2 or 3 women.
Oh.
The natural is going to drive you back into monogamy, and you'll be so happy to be monogamous, and you'll spend the rest of your life happy together.
But there are people out there who do it and do it maybe successfully. I'm not saying that I'm into open relationships. I'm just saying, maybe she's onto something. If we hear it in the news, Schwarzenegger, Clinton, all these issues of infidelity over and over and over again. Maybe we have it wrong. So ladies, we're going to stop. It's time for us to go, but we're going to pick up on this really quickly because we're out of time.
But you don't hear because we do it so well. You hear about men because they don't do it well. They cheat and they don't do it well. Women cheat and we do it. We're experts at it. Anyway, I'm not recommending that.
All right, we're going to come back to this, ladies. We love you. Stay beautiful, empresses, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.